Hello everyone, I'm a tutor with UPLATS and today we are going to continue with the date functions. In our previous lecture, we covered most of the date functions, the basic ones. Today we will continue with few more. So to start with, we have the first function, that is our day function. So let me demonstrate it. It basically returns the day of the month for a given date, a number from 1 to 31. Okay. So if I, let's say, pass something like this, 2020, 3, it will return 23 because it is 23rd October. So it will return 23 to me, irrespective of whatever my timestamp is. Okay, if I change this date, 25. Okay, so it will return me 25. So basically, it returns me the day of the month. It is very similar to day of month function. So if I write day of month instead of day, I'll get the same output. So day and day of month are doing the same job here. They are returning the day of the month for a given date, and that number varies from 1 to 31. Next, what we have is day name. What day name does is basically it will return the weekday name for a given date. Okay, let us demonstrate it. If I pass the function day name here, so what I get is Sunday. Now that means 25th October is a Sunday. Let's say 19, back in let's say 1994. So here basically I'm getting the day of the week. Let's say then 1997. If I say, then that was a Monday again. That means basically what it is doing is day helped us retrieve the number. Day name is helping us retrieve the weekday name. That means whether it was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or whatsoever. Okay, so it is helping me retrieve that. Now, next we have is day of week. We have already seen day name. We also demonstrated day of month. Okay. Now, next what we have is day of week. Okay. This is also very similar, but the problem is that in day of week, the number that we'll get as an output will be ranging from 1 to 7. Okay. And that 1 to 7 is also, it defines a word. That means if it is 1, then it is Sunday. If it is 2, then it is Monday. 3 is Tuesday, and so on until 7 Saturday. Okay. So for day of month, we were getting a number from 1 to 31. In a day of week, we'll get a number from 1 to 7 to understand that which day of the week it is. So if it is Wednesday today, then it is the 4th day of the week, because starting from Sunday, this becomes the 4th day of the week. So let me just demonstrate it to you. Day of week. So I get 2. Okay. That means 20th October is the second day of a second 20th October 1997 was the second day of that week. Okay, that means the week started from 18th. So from 19th, sorry. So for 19th I got 1, which means 19th was probably a Sunday and 20th October was probably a Tuesday, a Monday, sorry. Okay, so that's how day of week works. Next we have is day of year. So basically, in day of month, since there are 31 days, we got a number from 1 to 31. In day of week, since there are 7 days in a week, we got a number from 1 to 7. In day of year, we get a number ranging from 1 to 366, since there are 366 days, maximum 366 days in a year, including the leap year. So let me demonstrate that to you guys. If I convert this to year, then I get 292. That means 19th October is the 292nd day of that year. Okay, if I, let's say, change it to 31, this will become 12. This will be this. So that is the 366 day, because 2020 was a leap year. If I change it to 2021, I should get 365. Okay, because 2021 will have only 28 days. Now that was day of year for you. Now let's say if you want to extract some part of that date. Okay, you have to extract a part from a given date. So exactly the word that I've used. Okay, so select extract. Okay, just as you say month from the date column, let's say 2020 03 020, let's say whatsoever. Okay, I get 3. It has basically extracted the month from this date, from a given date. There are multiple parameters that I can use. If I use hour here, it will give me 00, because as I told you that it assumes it is by default this. Oh, I'm sorry. It assumes that this is the format if nothing is specified. In that case, it will return me 0. If I let's say want to retrieve the year, so I can simply specify year. It will give me 2020. Okay, so that is what extract does for you. Next, what we have in line is from days. What does from days do is it basically returns a date from a numeric presentation of the day. Okay, so that means there is one value that you are passing, big int or integer value, and from that it gets converted to date. Let's see if I write something, select from days. I have some number 1 2 3 5. It did not understand, so basically yeah, something of this sort. There is a limitation to that number that we can pass on to. So what it does is basically it is used for, first of all, only with the dates, and it accepts a numeric date value for converting that integer to date. Okay, so that numeric day is converted to a date. So I pass something like this, randomly 7805 something. So I get this, some random number. So when is this useful? You don't have to give this number. What happens is generally, if you are dealing with some big data type of thing, there they do not store timestamps. They store the big int number. And someday, if you want to retrieve some data based on that integer value, then you can use this from days and get it converted to add it to your where condition. Okay, so that is where you can use your from days function. Now, just as we have seen days function, we also have a method to retrieve the hour from the given date or timestamp. Okay, so here my hour is 23, so I should get 23 here. So basically, hour is dealing with this. Now, suppose if it is 0, then it will give me 0. Basically, it ranges from 0 to 23 for a day. Okay, whatever number you are specifying, it ranges from that. Okay, it will simply extract the hour from the date time value. So that is what an hour function you can use for. You can in fact also pass just this value 23 and then this, you'll get the same output. Okay, so that is our function. Now let's say you want to retrieve the last day of the month for the given date. So the way I'm saying it, similar functions are available. So if I say something like this, that last day, this is the function name, and let's say I've given some random date, 10 and then 20. So we are dealing with October month. The last day of October month will be 31. So it should give me 31st October. This is basically returning us the date of that month. Okay, the last date of that month. It will not only retrieve the day, but it will convert it to date format and it will return that to us. Okay. Next, what we have in line is the local time. Now, there would be a possibility you are dealing with some client on in some other country, and you have to follow some time there. You have to store data in that time format probably. So what you can use is local time here to find out that in your database what you are dealing with. This is the local time as of now. Okay. Again, if I do +1 to it, I get this value. Now this is actually the current timestamp itself, but in the local format. Okay. Again, similar to local time, I also have local timestamp function. So if I use local timestamp, I get this value, which is again the exact date time of our recording. Okay. Now that is local timestamp for you. Next, if we have a make date, that is you have to create and return a date based on year and number of days. Okay. So what happens is, let me write that function. Make date is make date. Okay, let's say 2020 and I have passed number of days to it. So first is parameter is the year. Second parameter is the day. It can range from 0 to 366. So if I say 366, it will give me the last date of the year. If I say 365, it will give me the 30th December date. So that's what it works. It will create a date basically. If let's say if your database has only two columns, year and the number of days that has passed. So it can be recreated if you give something more than, let's say, let us try doing that. Okay, in this case, what will happen is year was 2020. Starting from 1st January, it added 400 days. Whatever value it gets, that is being passed on to our output. Okay, so 2020 with 2020, there is an assumption that it is 1st January 2020. Add 400 days to it and return that value. Okay, so that is make date for you. It basically creates and returns a date based on a year and a number of days value. It has two parameters. First one is the both are required parameters. First one is the year, which is a 4-digit number, and the second one is the day. It is a number that indicates the day of the year. Okay, now if we similar to make date, we also have make time. It basically it creates and return a time value based on an hour, minute and second. Let's say you have hour, minute and seconds in 3 different columns. Okay, so what I'll do is make time, then 23, 23, 23. Okay, something of this sort. It will return me it in this format. It is basically adding colon to whatever we have given, nothing else. What happens if we don't specify one? It will give me incorrect parameter count. If I specify 0 here, it will give me 23, 23, 0, 0. Okay. So 3 parameters are mandatory. First is the hour value, second is the minute value, third one is the second value. Concatenating all these 3 values, it will make a time for you. That it will understand that this is the time you have to give. You can either use concat function, but the problem is that with concat function, you will have to also specify the data type for this particular parameter. But in case of make time, it will itself handle the data type in the database. So that was make time function for you. Similar to hour, we also have minute. So you can demonstrate that I will leave for you guys. Function is minute, and you have to simply pass a parameter here, which could be a date or it could be a timestamp. Next we have is month. Select month. Okay, till now we have discussed extracting month in the format or date format function, but month itself is a function which we can make use of. So I have something like this, 15. If I pass this, then I get value 6 here because that is the month. If I want the month name now, I'll simply add name here. It will convert this 06. It will map it to the calendar. If it is 06 denotes June, it will return June. Okay. So that is month name for me. So month function returns the month part for a given date and its number varies from 1 to 12. And on the other hand, the month name, it will basically give me the name of the month for any given date. In that, the input for both the functions is a date or date time value to extract the month name from. Okay. Now we have seen the current timestamp function. There is one more similar function you can use instead of current timestamp, that is now function. Now will also return the same thing, what current time stamp will return. Okay. So if I run this together, I will try to get it at the same time. So I got it at the same time. That's quite fast. Okay. So it is now is giving me the same answer as current timestamp. So if you want to use now, you can use that. It is the shorter version. Instead of writing the entire current timestamp, you can use now function. It is returning the current date and time in the format same as current timestamp. If you again add +1 to it, it will remove all the hyphen and colon and it will give me something like this. Okay. So that was it about now function. Now we also covered our date diff function. We have seen how to find the differences. There is one more way we can add a specified number of months to a period. Okay, that is period add. Let me demonstrate. Period add. Okay. This function will return the result in a different format. Okay, date add was returning function in YYY-MM-DD. Period add function adds a specified number of months to a period, and it will return the result format in YYY-MM without hyphen. Let me demonstrate it to you straight away. If I, let's say, give something like this 2017, sorry, 03, and I say that add 15 to it, what would happen? I'm sorry, it is not period add, it is underscore. I forgot underscore here. I'm sorry, my bad. So if I add, I've added 15 months here. Just to simplify, let us add just five. Okay. As you can see, it was February 2017 which I had given. It has added 5 months to my value, my month year value, and it has returned 2017-07 to me. Okay, so that was period add function. I can also subtract months from my, let's say I subtract 1, I should get 2017-01. Okay, so you can any day manipulate period add, date sub based on the parameters. If you know that exactly what parameter is to be passed, you can manipulate that. Okay, so that was a period add function for you, where it is adding a specified number of months to a period, and that period add function will return the result formatted as YYY-MM. Okay, there are two parameters it takes. First is the period. It has to be in a YYY-MM format, just the way I have given here on the screen. And the second one is the number. That means the number of months we need to add or subtract to the period. Okay, here also again, as I have demonstrated, both positive and negative values are allowed. Next we have is period diff. It is again similar to date diff. The only difference is that it will give me the difference between two periods, which will be in months. So period 1 and period 2 both have to be in same format. Let's say it is 2017-01. The difference is of sorry, I've used period add here. It has to be period diff. Okay, if I do this, I get a difference of 1 month here. Basically, period is dealing with months. So if I do period add, it gets a number of months added to the original date, original format. If it is period sub, it subtracts a value from it. If it is period diff, it gives me the difference between the months. If I say if 2017-02, it will return me 0, because 02 and 02 are exactly the same, and 2 minus 2 is 0. So this period diff function will return the difference between two periods, and this result will be in months. Both make sure that period 1 and period 2 are in the same format. Again, if my number 1 is smaller, let's say it is 1, it will return the minus value here. In all our MySQL functions, it is a minus p. Okay, so make sure whenever you are using your function, you are aware that greater value has to be the first argument and the smaller value has to be the second argument. That was period diff functions function for you. We also have a quarter of the year. If you want to find out at which quarter it is going on. Okay, so it basically returns 4 values, that is from 1 to 4, where 1 denotes January to March, 2 denotes April to June, 3 denotes July to September, 4 denotes October to September. It is basically dividing, it is making a chunk of 3 months into 1. Okay, so if I write something like this, quarter, and then I have to pass the date function or date value here. It could be any value, let's say 03. Now this is October, right? So October comes in the October to December chunk. That is, it will return 4 to me here. If I pass some June value to it, that is 06. June is the second quarter of the year. April to June is the second quarter. So if I pass June, I get value 2. Okay. So that is where you can use this quarter function. And we have seen hour, minute. We'll also try to cover seconds here. If I have something like this, 20, 0405, 20, that's a button. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not again seconds, it is second. Okay, so it has given me the seconds that I have used as my input. So that was second function for you. Now let's say there is a requirement where you want to where you want a return a time value which is in the HHMMSS format based on the specified seconds. Basically, you have to convert that seconds to time. Okay, so what I do is, if I have the function is written like this, select set to time. Okay, and here if I pass simple value 1, so it is the first second. If I pass 20, it is the 20th second. If I pass 60, it is actually 1 minute. You can see if I pass anything greater than 60, let's say 63, it is 1 minute 3 seconds. Okay, now similarly, if I want to have hour here, so 3600, if I do, it is basically 1 hour. 3600 is 1 hour. Anything after that, let's say 80, will be converted with this into hours and seconds. So basically it is taking the number of seconds as an input, and it is giving uh, hour HH colon mm SS format, that is hour, minutes and seconds. Okay, so it is basically returning me function is returning a time value in the format HH colon mm SS based on the specified seconds. Okay, again in this case also both positive and negative values are allowed. If I pass something like this, okay, you'll get a negative value, nothing else. You'll get the same answer, but you'll get a negative value. That depends on what your use case is, if you want to have this negative value here or not. Okay, that was set to time function for you. Now let's say if you have some string value that you want to convert into date format, okay, which is basically string to date. Your calendar denotes something like this. Let me demonstrate this to you. str, we have 2, we have date. Let's say our str value, your value denotes something like this, August 23 2020. Okay, this you want to convert into date format. So %m I will pass, either I can pass colon or I can pass space. So D, then we have %y. Okay, so here capital M, small d, capital Y. I already told you the notations, what does it mean. So if I convert it, okay, I made some error. Yeah, sorry, it has to be in double quotes. Okay, so what it has done is basically it has converted this string to this format. First of all, it retrieved August. August, if I convert to capital M, it becomes 08. It next looked at the value, which is D. Again, one more thing that you have to note here. Okay, August was the month here, so I have to give the format of %m here. Next, it was date, so I have to give the date format here. Then next was 2020, so I have to give this year format here. My final format will be in this way, that it will be YYY MM DD. Okay, let's try to manipulate this. If I write something like this, 23. Now it will not understand because 23 is not, it will not be able to convert it to M. What I have to do is I have to make change here as well. That is %M, and then here it is. So if my first value is a date, I have to write a date value here. Okay, that is %D. If it is the month name next, then I have to give %M here. Then if it is 2020, that is it, if it is the year, then I have to give the subsequent year function here, year value here. Okay, so that was string to date. If you want to convert it to date format and store it, this string to date, if you convert in your database, then it will automatically get this date of data type date. Okay, you need not convert it. So that was string to date for you guys. Here again, you can use any formats that you want to use. It could start from anything with %D, %E, hour, minutes, seconds, anything you want to deal with, you can definitely go ahead and give a try. Okay, next what we have is subdate. What subdate does is it basically subtracts 10 days from a date and return the date. Not specifically 10, it can subtract any number of values. Now this function we have already seen before, and that was date sub function. We have already seen the add date function wherein we subtracted something. So let me demonstrate it to you. Subdate, it will subtract a date. Let's say it is 2020 08, something like this. Okay. And then I want to add 10 days to it. Okay. So I've added 10 days to it. I've subtracted 10 days to it. Sorry, my bad. We are using subdate. So here positive value denotes subtract 10 days from the given date. So it has subtracted 10 days, giving me the last date of the previous month. Okay, so that was subdate for you. Next, what we have is the subdate function. Basically, it subtracts a time or date interval from a date and then returns the date. Okay, it takes two parameters. One is the date value and the other one is the interval value. Okay, and you can give any unit which you are comfortable with. If you are giving date function, then it is required from parameter. First of all, it is the original date. Then we can give the days, that is the number of days you want to subtract from the date, and then the value, that is the value of the date time. It could either be positive or it could be negative value. Both are allowed. If it is a unit, you have to deal with various different units. Even that is allowed with this function. That is, if it is hour, month, year, or if it is seconds, minutes, you can manipulate that way. Okay, it is not restricted to only subtracting dates from or days from the given uh, data. You can also subtract the seconds, minutes, and hours. Okay, so that was subdate for you guys. Similar to subdate, we also have subtime. So same thing, but the difference will be the parameter format. So if I specify something like this here, okay, and now I cannot pass interval. Interval always is associated with dates. With time, I have to manually give some values. So if I, let's say, give some value 5 here, it assumes that it is 5 seconds, and then it will increment that and give it to me. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not pass the date here. Okay, yeah, this is suitable. That was some garbage value because I did not pass any values here. Okay, so what subtime did was it basically took the seconds from my date timestamp value, added 5 to it, sorry, subtracted 5 to it, and it gave me an output. So 23 minus 5 becomes 18. So that is what I have got. Okay, 23, 23, 18. It basically subtracts time from a time or date time expression and then returns the new time or date time. Okay, it takes two parameters, date time and time interval. Date time, the time or date time to be modified. So you have to give the timestamp that is to be modified. Next is the time interval. It is required parameter, both of them. If anyone is missing, it will throw an error. The time interval to subtract from date, both positive and negative values are accepted, as we have already demonstrated. Based on this, you can either subtract the minutes, you can subtract hours, seconds, but you have to specify it in that format. Okay, so that is subtime function for you. Now we also have a system date function with us. Okay, now what does this do? It is system date. Again, it is very similar to the current timestamp function or probably the local time function that we have already seen, we have already covered. So let me just give it to you. Sys date. If you try it on your system, whatever your system is showing the time right now, it will return that. Okay. So it is basically giving me the date time for the current parameter. Okay. So that was sys date function for you. Again, if you add +1 to it, you know that the format is going to change. Hyphen and colon will be removed, and whatever it remains is going to be given to you. So that was sys date function for you. Now, next we have is time function. Select time. Okay. Here, what it is doing is it will extract the time part from a given time or date time. So the function, if let's say I have passed on 000, it is first demonstrated with normal examples. 20, 10, 10, 23, 23. Okay. Here you can see it has just extracted the time part from it, from my timestamp. If you remember, similar to time, we had date function where it is extracted the date function, date part of the timestamp value. Similarly, in time, it will retrieve the timestamp part. So if I make any changes, I get 23, 24, 23 here. That was the time. Okay. Now, there is one more possibility here. Let us try to do it. If you just pass this value, it will not understand. And here also, as you can see, that whatever my timestamp was, basically it is understanding that with the colon. Okay, so whatever the value is given to your time function, the timestamp part of it will be extracted. Okay, so that was the time function for you guys. Now with time also we have different formats. Till now we have seen date format, wherein we could retrieve the date, we could retrieve the month, we could retrieve the day. But now what if I want to retrieve the hours, minutes or seconds? It is definitely possible to do so. Let us demonstrate time format. If I have, okay, then I have this 19, let's say 20 or 23 something, then I'm passing %h space %I. I'll tell you what it means. I've already told you, we can revise it probably. So when I do this, what it is doing is basically hour is helping me retrieve the hour part of the timestamp. I is basically helping me retrieve the minutes part of the format, and small s is helping me retrieve the seconds part of the timestamp file. Now, if you remember, this I and small h both denote 0 to 12 format. Okay. So if I convert it to small h, it has now converted it to the value 07. Okay. It has assumed 20 to be the 7th hour as per the 12-hour format, that is from 0, starting from 0. Okay. And it has given me the value, not starting from 1, starting from 0. I'm repeating again. This value starts from 0, not from 1. So 20 as per normal clock is 8 o'clock, but since it starts from 0, it is 07. So small h does that job, while I simply retrieves the number as it is. Okay. Small I retrieves the number from my minutes part and gives me the number of minutes from 00 to 59. Okay. So there are various such formats available, wherein percent capital H, it is an hour dealing with 0 to 23 values. Percent small h, it is dealing with 0 to 12. Percent capital I, it is dealing with hour but 0 to 12. Percent small I is dealing with minutes from 0 to 59. Okay. If you want to know that if it is AM or PM, we also have a possibility. We have a format percent small p. We have something like this percent small p. It will help me understand if it is AM or PM. So there are many things, many formats available. It will take time for you to remember or memorize all these formats together. But just as you start using MySQL, you will become well versed with it. So that was time format function, which helps us format a time by a specified format. If let's say instead of space, if I have put something like hyphen, okay, so it will return me in that format. So it again depends on what format you are specifying. It formats your date time based on that format you have mentioned. Okay, so that was time format. Now again, you have seen sec to time, that seconds were mentioned and you have to convert it to time. There is an exactly opposite function available, that is time to sec. Okay, sorry. Time to sec. Here I am specifying 23. Convert to number of seconds and it will give me the value. Okay, these are basically 84,203rd second of the day. Okay, let me make it simple for you. 00. No, sorry. Let me copy paste it first. Then let me convert it to 0. Then let me convert this to 0. Okay. So if I run this, it is basically converting this entire timestamp format to seconds. Okay. So it could be 24 hours if you want to convert. You can understand with this that there are 86,400 seconds in a day. Okay, it has basically converted 24 hours to seconds. Okay, so that was time to sec for you, which it converts a time value into seconds. It takes only one parameter, that is time, as we have given here. Okay, and it is the required function, like required parameter. If I take off this parameter, it will throw me an error saying incorrect parameter count in the call. So it takes one parameter. Now, just as we had date diff, we also have something called as time diff. Okay, in time diff also you have to give the upper bound first, that is, let's say 13, 10, 10 maybe, and then you have something like 12. Let's keep it 13 only. 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so you can see that it has correctly subtracted and given me the same format. If I change to something like this, we are subtracting an hour completely. Okay, so the difference is between this to timestamp is 1 hour 10 minutes and 10 seconds. So that's what we get in the same format as we have mentioned here. So that is time diff function for you, where it returns the difference between two time or date time expressions. Time 1 and time 2 should be in same format, and the calculation will be time 1 minus time 2. That is, time 1 is this first parameter, time 2 is the second parameter, and the first parameter has to be greater than the second parameter. Okay, so that was time diff function. And moving on to next, we have is a timestamp. Okay, so what it will do is basically it will return a date time value based on a date or date time value. If there are specified two arguments with this function, it first adds the second argument to the first and then returns a date time value. Okay, that means, let me demonstrate. Select timestamp is 20, let's say 10:20. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. That was supposed to be date, no? And let's say I'm adding 10 to it. You can see it has basically concatenated these two values and converted it to timestamp. Okay. What if I don't specify anything here? Again, the default value 000 will be assumed and that will be returned. Okay. So that is timestamp function for you, where it returns a date time value based on a date or date time value. Now here, the first parameter is required, just as I told you, the expression or the date. It can be date or a timestamp value. Next is the timestamp function, wherein it is an optional parameter. If I don't specify, it will take 00000 as the default value. Okay, so that was timestamp function for you guys. Next, what we have is, let's say I want to convert a given date to number of days. Okay, I have 0 to 366, right? So I have to convert it 2 days. We have already seen from days earlier. 2 days from days is basically you are giving number of days. That is, let's say if you give 366, it was retrieving 31st December for us. But what if I give in 2 days, 2020, 12, 31, 31st December, it should give me 366. Okay, what have I done something wrong? Okay. It will give me a function till date. I'm so sorry. So this 2 days function, it returns the number of days between a date and year. Okay, that is 000. So it is not starting from the 1st January 2020. It is basically finding the difference between, let us demonstrate that way. Date diff. Okay, now I have given 2020, 12 and 31, and then next what we have is 00, 00, then we have 00 and 00. Okay. Okay, it did not understand. Date diff did not understand. I cannot demonstrate it with date diff. So what I'm trying to say here is, this basically, it counts the number of days that have passed from this date. This is the default date. Starting from this default date, how many days have been passed? That is what it is trying to calculate. And that's where it retrieved 738. So this function returns the number of days between a date, which is 31st December for us, and year 0. That is date format 000. Okay. It can only be used with dates within the Gregorian calendar. you can go ahead and find out what is a Gregorian calendar. You will then understand that how this 2 days work. It cannot be used on your local timestamp format, where you want to find out the days that have passed in a certain year. Okay, now ideally you expected that 31st December 2 days means you will get the value 366, but that is not the case. It is starting from 00 default value. Okay, if you want to find out the week of the date for a given date, it will return a value from obviously there are 53, maximum 53 weeks in a year, and minimum is 52. So if you want to find out that this date lies in which week of the year, so you can go ahead and use the week function. So if I pass 2020 10 20, let's say, so you will get 42. That means it is in the 42nd week of the year. Okay, we have 10 more weeks to for this year to finish. 11 weeks for this year to finish. Okay, now this second there are two parameters that it can take. One is just the date value. Okay, the second parameter it can take is the first week of the first day of the week. Okay, now this is an optional parameter. Okay, the first day of week, what it specifies is what day the week starts on. Okay, it can be again 0 to 7. First day of the week is Sunday, second day of the week is Monday. So if I specify something like this, okay, it will give me 43rd week. If you could see here that if nothing is specified, it takes the value default value, which is 0, and starting from 0 it is 42nd week. But if I specify 1, that means my first day of the week is starting from Monday. Okay, so in that case the data will be different. That is, it will be the 43rd week as per Monday starting my first day. This will be more clear to you if you are very clear with the calendar concepts, the quantitative analysis or the quantitative part of the calendar. Okay, so this you can go ahead and use. You can directly go ahead with this week function. Only if there is some specific requirement, you need to handle the second argument, which is again optional here. Okay, and the value that we have is 0 to 7. 0 stands from first day of the week is Monday. 1 stands for first day of the week is Monday, and the first week of the year has more than 3 days. Okay, second stands for first day of the week is Sunday. Then third value stands for first day of the week is Monday, and the first week of the year has more than 3 days. Okay, so this way we have 0 to 7 values to specify that when exactly our week is starting. Why this is mandatory? Because in some business organizations, they specify that this week is starting from this date, and accordingly they have some week calculations based on it. So you have to be well known with that parameters also. So that was it. That was week. Similar to week, we have a weekday function wherein it will give me that which day of the week it is. It is Monday, it is Tuesday, it is Wednesday. Now, understand that when we are talking about weekday, the week starts from Monday. Okay. So if I specify weekday here, okay, something like this, it is the first day. Ideally, first denotes Tuesday. It is Tuesday today. 0 denotes Monday. So if I do this 19, it starts from 0. 0 denotes Monday here. Okay. Previously, you must have seen that you are calculating some day of the month and day of the week. There, my week was starting from Sunday, but in weekday, it starts from Monday. Okay. Similar to weekday, we have week of the year. It will return the week number for a given date. That value ranges from 1 to 53. Now this function assumes that the first day of the week is Monday and the first week of the year has more than 3 days. This is a basic assumption. Okay. So if I go ahead and demonstrate this, select week of the year. Sorry, it's not the, it's year. Let me give a date. Okay. I get the 43rd week here. Okay. It is basically giving me which week of the year it is. Similar to week function. Okay. It's just that in week of the year, the assumption is that the first day of the week is Monday and the first week of the year has more than 3 days. This is the basic assumption. Okay. For week of year. And that in case of week can be manipulated based on the optional arguments that we covered. Okay. Now, just as we have this week, year, days, function, week function, month function, days function, we have year function also. So if I have something like this, 2020, it will return me 2020. Okay, since my year is 2020 in my given date. Okay, so this year function will return the year part of for a given date, number from 1000 to 9999. Okay, now let's say for want to find out the year week. Okay, it will basically return the year and week number, a number from 0 to 53 for a given date. Let us demonstrate that. Select year week. This is how you write the function, and then you pass on some values. Let's say 2020, 1020. Okay, yeah, as you can see, it has passed me the year and it has passed me the uh, week number, both of them together. So if you want them together, you can use that. If you want it different, you can use year function separately and week function separately. So that was that, and that's where we finish our date function. All the date functions are covered. So in next lecture, we will talk about joins, which is the most important part of a database. If you are very well aware of joins, that how exactly you need to join two tables, then it will become very easy for you. Right now, we are thorough with our basics. We have covered all types of functions. Now we will get on to more technicalities. So next we will cover is joins. Okay. So thank you from you, lads. Thank you.